Hey, my name is Dr. Eric Shoemake, and I'm here to tell you about a brand new blockbuster workshop that we have coming up in the Max Living Network called Bamboozled. This is my favorite workshop that we get to do because we really see the light bulb come on in so many people's eyes when it comes to the sick care system versus true healthcare, which that's your birthright is true healthcare. But unfortunately, we have a system that's largely built on monetizing disease rather than preventing it. And a lot of the things that you've been told that you've believed your entire life are a flat out lie. So if you've never heard the word bamboozle before, here's the definition of bamboozle. It means to deceive by underhanded methods, to dupe, hoodwink, or trick. And I'm here to tell you, when it comes to your health, you have been duped, hoodwinked, and tricked, and it's happening to you every single day, and it's only gotten worse. I was going through pre-med before I became a chiropractor, so almost 30 years ago, and I started looking at things going, these things don't make sense. A lot of these treatments are doing more harm than good. The things that people say are good for you aren't. What the heck is going on here? And that's 30 years ago. It's only gotten worse since then. So you really need to be able to see through a lot of the nonsense that's out there so you can make good decisions for your health and for your future, because that's what we want for you in Max Living, to change the way you view and manage your health, to start looking at things differently and retire from that sick care model. Now, as always, I tell people I'm not anti-drug or anti-doctor. Like, thank God we have emergency life-saving medication when we need it or treatment. I broke my arm several years ago. The bone was literally sticking out of my elbow. I didn't want a chiropractic adjustment or vitamin D. I wanted to go have surgery, which I needed. But it's gotten out of control in our country because that emergency mindset thinking that works really well for emergencies, but it fails spectacularly when we're trying to prevent things like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's. We have more of that than we've ever had in history. And the problem is we've made a business of it in the United States. So instead of preventing illness, we monetize it. Drug companies get rich based on you believing the stuff that you've believed your whole life. And what we want to do is help you take that out of that model, take you out of that model so that you can live the life that you were intended, full of energy, vitality, and have a great future. So the idea behind Bamboozle is we're going to help you spot those things that maybe everybody else believes and you thought were good, but those things actually do more harm than good. So just because everybody else believes it doesn't mean it's true. My grandma used to say, well, if everybody else ran off a cliff, would you run off too? No, I wouldn't. Right. So because I want to think for myself, we're going to teach you how to advocate for yourself because it is vital now more than ever in this environment to advocate for yourself and your family rather than just go along with the sick care model. So one of my favorite quotes is, if a million people say a foolish thing, it's still a foolish thing. So if everybody tells you to get a flu shot, I'm here to tell you there's a lot better options than getting a flu shot. If a million people get one, doesn't make it a good idea. So we're going to give you several things. I'm going to talk about these in this video, and we're going to teach you a lot more in depth at the Bamboozled workshop. Some of the things that you believe that just are not true. So number one, we most people believe that the U.S. has excellent healthcare and an excellent healthcare system, and we are just supposed to trust the experts. I call them experts. And I also want you to think about when someone says, well, they said, well, who's they? Who said? Who said X? Who said Y? Who said those things? So in our country, not only is our healthcare system failing, we're 37th in the world in overall health. We have more heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, depression in our children, anxiety in our children, Alzheimer's in our kids, or no, I'm sorry, autism in our kids than ever before. And if that's the case, what's causing it? And when you actually look at this, there's a book called Death by Medicine. It's written by Gary Null. So it's three medical doctors and two PhDs wrote this book. And they actually said when they look at all the statistics, the leading cause of death and injury in the United States is not heart disease or cancer. It's actually called iatrogenic death, which means going to the doctor, which means you went to the doctor for something, and the thing that you went there for didn't kill you. The treatment that the doctor or the system did killed you, not the disease itself. And again, it's not the doctors are evil and trying to kill you. It's this whole system that's even educating the doctors is all built around what? Drugs and surgery, treating the symptom, not finding the cause of the problem. And when you take as many drugs as we get, you're going to get things like almost 400,000 people a year dying just from correctly prescribed medication. You take another 200,000 people from incorrectly prescribed medication. Guys, that's six jumbo jets crashing every single day in the United States. That's how many people die literally from our healthcare system. That is absolutely insane. So if six jumbo jets were crashing every single day, you wouldn't be allowed to get on an airplane. You wouldn't let your kids fly. You wouldn't let your family, go to the airport. That would be shut down. But in our system, it's just business as usual because, again, sickness is a business in our country. So we want you to be able to make decisions to get out of that sick care model and whatever problem that you have. We're going to talk about menopause symptoms today. We're going to talk about immune system today. We're going to talk about your nutrition. We'll talk about headaches. Any of those things, any of those symptoms that you're having, we want to find the cause of those problems rather than just throw another drug or surgery at it. So let's talk about who the experts actually are. So one of the things that I discuss all the time, people think the FDA is looking out for you, the Food and Drug Administration. The problem is, as we'll get into this in the workshop, there's so many conflicts of interest in the Food and Drug Administration. The people that work for the FDA go back to work for drug companies or food companies right after they leave their 1 year post at the FDA. So who is they that tells you X, Y, and Z is good? Well, doctors, used to tell you that smoking Camel cigarettes were good for your digestion and they were healthy. This is actually out of Life magazine. So it says smoke a fresh cigarette and how good it is for your digestive system, and it's doctor recommended. Give your throat a vacation, is what it said. Well, now we understand that smoking cigarettes causes lung cancer, is one of the leading causes of death, but they were telling you to smoke cigarettes for your digestion. Another one is Vioxx. If you remember Vioxx, this is almost 25 years ago now, but it's the biggest drug scandal in history. Vioxx killed, literally documented, over 100,000 people in the United States had heart attacks and strokes because of this drug called Vioxx, which was meant to be taken for arthritis. And we'll go into it more in the workshop, but you'll see why. When you take this drug, yes, it can reduce your pain, but it also makes your blood thick. So many people had heart attacks and strokes because their blood was too thick. And it took a long time to pull it off the market, and 100,000 people had heart attacks and strokes documented because of Vioxx. And there was a whistleblower that eventually, came forward from the FDA, and he blew the whistle on everything. Had he not, hundreds of thousands of more people would die. Now, here's the thing. They made $10 billion on that drug. They had to pay back $5 billion in fines, which means they still kept $5 billion, even though 100,000 people had heart attacks and strokes. You need to know this stuff. If your doctor is recommending X, Y, or Z medication, you got to know about these things. Another is Pfizer. So Pfizer was sued and fined $2.3 billion for marketing their drugs illegally, which means criminal. These were criminal penalties. They know they're not supposed to do this. The drug is approved for this thing, but then they were marketing for these other 5 things, which is illegal. They did it anyway. They knew it. So they had to pay $2.3 billion. Now, this Pfizer is the same company that when COVID hit, everybody put all of our faith in Pfizer to make a vaccine for COVID, which they made $90 billion off of. And what did they tell you with that vaccine? They said it will prevent you from getting COVID. But then, if you remember, it didn't prevent you from getting COVID. And they're like, okay, well, you're still going to get it, but you won't spread it. And then they said, oh, wait, you will spread it, but it won't be as bad. And then it was just one and done. And then it became, no, you need 5 boosters. So these people, like literally the biggest criminal fine in history was from Pfizer. And somehow we trusted that that's what's going to fix us rather than during COVID, like the whole time, like what I was talking about with my patients was let's get people taking vitamin D because 88% of people that were hospitalized had low vitamin D. If you have high blood pressure or obesity, let's fix those problems because most of the people hospitalized with COVID had obesity or high blood pressure. These are all things that are correctable by something other than a vaccine, but we didn't do anything about that because no one's getting rich on vitamin D and helping people with their diet. But a lot of people got rich on this. So we don't want you to make the decisions based on what's all in the news all the time, but really through sound judgment. So we're going to teach you an acronym called BRAIN so that you can look at anything that anybody recommends. You can watch a YouTube video, Aunt Sally, your doctor, and you can say, okay, let me look at the benefits. Let me look at the risk. Let me look at the alternatives. Let me look at what my intuition say. And we're going to show you how to do that for all of these different things coming up at the Bamboozled workshop. So one of the things we're going to discuss, which is I'm sure a lot of people watching this right now, menopause is a major concern for a lot of women. We're talking hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, all kinds of issues with menopause. So again, in our country, we have labeled this a disease, but menopause isn't a disease. It's a natural transition that your body goes through later on in life, but it does cause symptoms. And the symptoms can be really bad. Hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, all things can be really bad. But it's not because you're missing hormones and you need hormone replacement. So you go to the doctor, they say it's this disease, here's the hormone replacement that you need. They're barking up the wrong tree. We're going to talk about at this workshop cortisol and how if you can fix cortisol, you can reduce all of those symptoms, and this transition can be very seamless instead of causing a major upheaval in your body. So just a couple of things on this. So the single biggest reduction in breast cancer in the United States happened when doctors stopped prescribing hormone replacement therapy, specifically a drug called Premarin. So if you remember this drug, it's called Premarin. Premarin means pregnant mare's urine. So if you look over here, if this guy's collecting the urine from a pregnant mare, they take that and they turn that into a drug that they give you to take. It's a synthetic estrogen. Synthetic estrogens are horrible for your body. So this is from, and don't just take my word for it. This is John Abramson. He says HRT not only doesn't decrease the risk of heart disease, strokes, or Alzheimer's disease, because that's the way they would sell it. They'd be like, this actually prevents those things. He did all the research and found actually it doesn't. It increases your risk of heart disease, strokes, and Alzheimer's for good reason because of what synthetic estrogen does. You don't need more estrogen. Most people have too much estrogen already. So we're going to teach you how you can actually get to the cause of your menopause symptoms and correct them. So that's by avoiding these things called xenoestrogens or these outside estrogens, but then also balancing your hormones. And the master hormone for all of this is cortisol. And you'll see how that triggers estrogen and progesterone and these downstream effects. So we're going to show you how to correct that rather than taking these hormone replacement therapies, which actually increase your risk of dying of breast cancer 8% for every year that you take them. So if you know anybody taking these things, bring them to the Bamboozled workshop, and we're going to show you how you can really get to the cause of these menopause symptoms. Another bamboozle, and this is from the American Heart Association and Food and Drug Administration. What do they tell you? That 5 servings of fruits and vegetables is enough to keep the doctor away. That's not true. All the research shows it's about 11 servings of fruits and vegetables, which almost nobody's getting. And this is a crazy statistic. 1 in 10 Americans even gets 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. Only 10% of Americans get 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, and that's counting French fries and ketchup. I wish I was making that up, but I'm not. So you actually need more than you think. The problem is, how do you get 11 servings of fruits and vegetables? How do you know what's processed and what's not? We're going to show you that. So we're going to show you the vegetables that you can eat for the biggest bang for your buck. It's different than it used to be. So through soil depletion. So we're going to teach you the trick that we use to get enough servings of fruits and vegetables that I've used for my kids to make sure my kids were getting enough fruits and vegetables. So if you have picky eaters, we're going to show you what to do about that. And we're going to show you how to make sure you cover your bases through the fruits and vegetables and covering your bases through antioxidants as well, because that's what prevents so many diseases. And then one of the things I'm super excited about coming out of the winter, especially it seems like this last winter, I had more people that had colds and flus. Everybody was talking about flu A, and it was like worse than ever before. So more people are asking me like, should I get a flu shot? And I tell them, I'm not going to tell you to get a flu shot or not. Here's the way I think about it. So the first thing I think about is any intervention, is it safe and is it effective? That's what I want to know. If anybody, doctor, anybody else says something that I prescribe something or tells me something I start doing, is it safe and is it effective? So when it comes to the flu shot, let's just look at effectiveness alone. A lot of people think if you get a shot, you don't get the flu. Well, the problem is they guess. So they manufacture the flu shot a year before it actually comes out, and they guess as to which strains will be prevalent that year. And usually they're wrong. If they guess right, it could be fairly effective. If they guess wrong, it's almost 0% effective. So this chart over here shows between 2009 and 2010, it was 60% effective. The flu shot was 60% effective. But then in 2014, they guessed wrong. It was 19% effective. And then it was 38% effective. Then it was 29% effective. And I can't find any more charts anywhere on this because I think it's embarrassing for the people that make flu shots. So they just don't put this stuff out anymore. But the average flu shot effectiveness is less than 35% in any given year. Guys, if I was coming to your house and I was going to fix your toilet and you said, how effective is this going to be at fixing the stopped up toilet? I say 35%, would you hire me? No. You wouldn't let me anywhere near your house if I said, yeah, what I do and when I charge you money for is 35% effective. There are so many things that are more effective than a flu shot at preventing the flu. And that's what we're going to show you. The things that you can do to prevent the flu and to boost your immune system so that you don't get the stuff in the first place. And then, so that's, is it effective? No. Is it safe? Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what's in a flu shot. We'll talk about why the flu shot is especially problematic. So when I pulled off the adjudicated settlement, so there's something called vaccine court. So it's called the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. And when somebody's damaged by a vaccine, whether it's a childhood vaccine, flu shot, or whatever, they file it, and then they go to vaccine court, and that case is heard in court. And a lot of times they are rewarded or awarded monetary awards because the vaccine was determined to cause whatever problem that they said it caused. And it happens all the time. It happens enough that there's a vaccine court. Okay, now, by the way, the money that's paid to these people when a flu shot damages them or some other shot damages them doesn't come from the people that caused it. It comes from your tax dollars. And we'll cover that a lot more in Bamboozled as well. So the adjudicated settlements just looks at like, so the top 11 things, the top 11 shots that caused these injuries right here. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the top 11 on this for this particular year were flu shots. What did the flu shots cause? This one caused tachycardia syndrome, which is racing heart. This one, stroke and death. The person died. This one here, bullous dermatitis, which is a horrible skin disease. This one, dermatomyositis, which makes you lose the ability to walk. This one down here, Guillain-Barré, which makes you lose the ability to walk. It's like polio. So 5 out of the top 11 awards because of vaccines were because of flu shots, which is senseless to me because there's so many other things that are more effective than getting a flu shot. And we're going to teach you what those things are coming up here at our next workshop, which is called Bamboozled. So if you haven't gotten registered already, make sure you get registered for that because there's a lot more where that came from. We're gonna teach you how to see through the things that you believed were true that just aren't, so that you can advocate for yourself and your family, and which is the most important thing you can do right now, especially in this environment with social media and the news and everything else that's going on. We want you to be able to make safe, sane, natural decisions when it comes to your health. So make sure you get registered for that. And then bring somebody with you. As always, if you have a church group, bring them with you, bring a busload, because we're so excited to present this because this is our mission in Max Living is to put the power for your health back in your hands, to not have you dependent on any doctor, any drug, any chemical, but to put the power back in your hands because you understand that the power that made the body heals the body, that you have an amazing ability to heal and be well if you cooperate with the way it was designed. And that's what this workshop's all about. So can't wait to see you there.